There we go. We're live on there. I'm going to move this up over here. So I got that going. And all right, we'll get ready to start the show. You guys ready? I'm ready. Let's start it up. Here we go. I grab a quiver and my bow. It's my dear head, don't you know? Climbing to the top with gearhead archery. Heart racing as I take aim, my spirit soaring high as I release my arrow. All right, welcome to this week's edition of Buck Talk Radio with Outdoors Dan. Hoping everybody's having a good Wednesday afternoon all over the good old US of A. Appreciate that. The show's brought to you in part by our good friends out at Rupert's Roost and Peace, Grunt Calls and Turkey Calls, Winsent, Predator Camo, Gearhead Archery, Face Off E-Bikes, Compass Carts, Racks and Tracks Taxidermy, Kool-Aid Archery, Fourth Arrow, Norlander Socks, and Weeby Knives, just to name a few. Can't get everybody in there, but I try to rotate it when I can. I hope that everybody's doing good. We got a fun show for you. We're going to be talking with Iowa deer biologist Jace Elliott and about some of the new rules and regs and changes going on across Iowa this year. So let me go ahead and get him dialed in, and we'll see if we can get him on the show. One ringy ding.
Hey Dan.
Chase, how you doing, buddy?
Doing great. How are you?
I'm doing well. Were you live on the Outdoor Call Radio Network? Tell everybody hi for me.
Hey, happy to be here.
Yeah, well, we're happy you're here. So, you having a good week so far?
Definitely. Yeah, it's been a hectic week, as you could imagine, with a lot of these changes, but hopefully we're doing a good job getting the word out, and I appreciate you helping us out with that.
Well, it's my pleasure. I always appreciate everybody there at the DNR. I think all of you do a great job, and like I said before, I've said this 100 times. I'll say it 100 more. You guys definitely don't make enough for what you do. I mean, I know a lot of you out there. I'll be so glad when the I will. This is me talking. When that I bill gets passed and signed into law, so we can pay people what they're worth, and it just makes everything better for the anglers and the hunters and anybody out there enjoying the outdoor recreation in Iowa. It's just going to make everything better. Coming from Missouri, I grew up with a robust conservation department, and I just know I see the difference every day. I've been up here 24 years, and I've told this story to a lot too. When Missouri, I could drive anywhere within 35, 40 minutes and get into a public hunting or fishing area. And we,
Yep.
we just don't have that luxury here in Iowa. And
It's a little different.
little different. And then all the conservation programs are free. Everything's paid for. So I'll be glad when Iowans get a chance to experience that. That'll make me really, really happy.
You bet.
So let's get into deer season. We're not that far away. Are you getting excited? I'm definitely getting excited.
I'm getting very excited. It's like all of a sudden summer's halfway through, and yeah, deer season's kind of the next thing I'll be thinking about.
Yeah, I'm telling you, it'll be here before you know it. We got our urban seasons starting in September,
Yep.
and then the regular season's going to start on October 1st. But let's talk about what everybody's wanting to know about, and that's the new rules and regs for 2026-27. And can you kind of give everybody kind of just a real quick rundown of what happened and why it happened?
Absolutely. So for anybody that's paid attention to our deer population trends in Iowa over the last, let's say, 10 years, Western Iowa has been getting dealt a bad hand. Now, Western Iowa is already up against a lot because it's a fragmented landscape compared to the rest of the state. There's just simply less habitat on the ground. And whenever you have less habitat, you're more vulnerable to everything else that the world throws at you when you're a deer. So things like disease, hemorrhagic disease. Here we're talking about EHD and blue tongue. Those diseases have really taken a toll on Western Iowa deer populations. Probably 3 or 4 really severe outbreaks in the last 15 years. And that's just knocked deer down, and we just have not been able to get a good recovery. Again, due to the fragmented landscape, those deer are just not quite as resilient as they might be elsewhere.
Now this is in Western Iowa.
This is in Western Iowa. Now, we have had hemorrhagic disease across a lot of the state, especially in 2024.
Yeah.
But it should be noted that while Southern Iowa did get hit hard with EHD, we're not even in the same universe when we're talking about deer populations. Some of these counties, like Woodbury County, Plymouth County, historically they've had very strong deer numbers 20 years ago, 15 years ago, and we're probably at below 50%, probably a lot less than that of the deer numbers that we had back then. So things are much different and in more dire straits in Northwest Iowa. So as a department, we wanted to respond to this happening. And it was important for us to make sure that we had our hunters along with us while we were sorting out what to do. So we held a number of meetings. We held, I believe, 8 meetings, all public meetings in Western Iowa in 2024. Then last year, we held another 4 public meetings, specifically in Northwest Iowa in 2025. And all of that outreach, we had hundreds of hunters show up. A lot of those rooms ended up being packed. And we really got a good sense that hunters are willing to give something up in order to have a better resource in the future. And that brought us down the road of what we ended up deciding to do.
Well, and I think it's good because I mean I tell everybody, you know, when they call and ask me questions and stuff, you know, you guys always have a comment period where you want people to fill out those reference cards. You want them to go to a meeting. You want feedback from the people that are out there buying the hunting permits and licenses and tags because they're your customer basically.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, they're part of the resource, right?
Right.
The experience that our natural resources offer is part of the resource. And so ultimately this zone model, which I can get into, was proposed in the 4 meetings in Northwest Iowa last May. The exact framework that we ended up going through with ended up being supported by 95% of the folks that came to those meetings and took the survey, indicated that a lot of them realized this is going to be giving something up, whether that's harvest opportunities, whether that's flexibility, but ultimately it was a price they were willing to pay to see that population recover, hopefully, in the future.
Right. So let's just talk first. Let's start off with the zones. Now, before the rule and reg changes on the zones, how many zones do we have in Iowa?
Well, we were a statewide framework. So if you're a resident and you buy a general license,
You were statewide.
anywhere in the state. That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's been that way, I believe, since the 80s. So we've got 4 decades of tradition that we're sort of pivoting from.
And
But
I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead. Finish your
so
thought. Yeah.
it wasn't lost on us that this is a sacrifice and that there's going to be folks who have to shoulder that change in flexibility. But ultimately, what we're trying to do here is create regulations in Northwest Iowa that serve Northwest Iowa and not let them get dragged by one size fits all deer management in Iowa.
Okay. And then as far as the non-resident zones, was there 4?
Oh, I believe there's around 10.
Oh, 10 zones.
Non-resident zones, and those are unaffected. So none of these changes affect non-residents.
Okay. So now we're at 2 zones.
Yep.
And that's for residents, right?
That's for residents.
Okay. So can you explain the 2 zones for me real quick?
Yeah. So the easiest way I can do this is by explaining Zone B, which is that Northwest Iowa zone. Now there's 8 counties in Zone B: Crawford, Ida, Lyon, O'Brien, Plymouth, Shelby, Sioux, and Woodbury are the 8 counties that they've experienced the biggest population declines. We had the biggest support for doing this in those counties, and so that's what we're starting with. The zone boundaries can and likely will change as the years go on, but this is what we're starting with. In Zone B, the major difference is that instead of having an any sex tag for general seasons, it is now an antlered buck only tag, meaning does, fawns, and spike bucks cannot be harvested on that license type in Zone B.
Okay. And then now as far as the changes in the seasons, I guess we can start with early muzzleloader.
Yeah. So those seasons, everybody can still participate in those seasons like they could in past years. We didn't want to take away anybody's ability to get out and enjoy the recreational opportunity of deer hunting.
Mm-hmm.
We just wanted to change the fact that there's too many does being harvested to see a population recovery. And we just wanted to create a framework that better protects does in order to see those numbers come up in the future. I do want to mention that we made exceptions. Now, the buck only license is going to be in place for residents buying their archery and or firearm of choice license. However, youth hunters, disabled hunters, landowner tenant, and depredation license types are still going to allow antlerless harvest.
Okay. And Chase, forgive me, I should have pulled this up and I didn't. When does the early season for you start?
This year it's September 19th,
Okay.
and it runs through October 4th.
Okay, September. So, and as far as anything changing again for the youth,
No,
can, and nothing
we
changed.
didn't want you to be limited in any way.
Okay.
They do make up a reasonable amount of the doe harvest in that area, but we do see that it's important to invest in that younger generation, make sure that they get the experiences to keep them engaged and keep them in the field. So we didn't want the burden to fall on our youth. We didn't want it to fall on our disabled. And so for both of those licenses, there's still statewide licenses where you can shoot any deer you'd like
Okay.
across the state. But for resident adults, it's going to be a different story.
Okay. You want to cover that real quick?
Yeah, exactly. So really the main change, like I mentioned, is that you can still buy your archery general license and you can buy your firearm of choice, which includes early muzzleloader, late muzzleloader, or either of our 2 gun seasons. So those would be the 2 general tags that residents are eligible for.
Mm-hmm.
And previously, those were a statewide tag. They allowed the take of any deer. Now in Zone B, they're only going to permit the take of antlered bucks, so bucks with forked antlers. And again, this is all in the spirit of conserving our female side of the population and allowing that population to build quicker.
Okay. Well, I think again, whenever conservation departments or agencies have to go in and do a change or a rule, I know there's pushback on with some folks every year, but like Missouri, when Missouri went to a 4-point antler restriction in a lot of the counties, there was a lot of blowback on the show down there on Sunday nights, and and people were, and I said, well, wait a minute. I said, this is only going to give you a chance to see more mature bucks.
Right.
Do you not understand that? And then after it took a couple seasons, got under everybody's belt, um, it was amazing to me, Chase, that people were calling up saying, man, I seen a 150, I seen a 160. I've never seen so many bigger deer in my life. I mean, look, I mean, the palmation, these antlers are just getting so big. And I said, well, that's the fruit of having people
Exactly.
having that 4-point antler that deer that allowed that buck to get some age on it. And now you're seeing more mature deer. And everybody was really happy about it. And then I think they're kind of taking that away now. I thought I saw something in some
Yeah,
kind. Did you?
they're done with it altogether.
Oh, it got.
And
What was the reason for that?
CWD, for
CWD.
better or worse, that's their rationale for going away from that, and that's their department's prerogative. But it's a good example of what you described. It's short-term sacrifice for long-term gain,
Right.
and as deer hunters, we love to, champion the fact that we are conservationists. Well, sometimes that requires a sacrifice too.
Yeah, I think most people I hunt with in my circles and stuff, we want the resource to be around for our kids as kids as kids.
Right.
And I think most people are common sense would say, listen, if we need to do this or that, it's not that big of a deal. And you can go in other areas or other states, and if you still want to chase something else or go do, extend your hunting time, or take advantage of an urban hunting program. Those are a lot of does right there. So I think these are reasonable requests.
Yeah, and it's not different from the way that a lot of Western states manage their big game populations.
Right.
The reason why, Montana, Wyoming, Utah, all these states are carved up into different zones is because different regulations benefit different populations. And a one size fits all approach is probably not going to serve the resource in every area of the state.
Yeah.
Of course, there is a cost. The biggest one we're hearing about, and of course, we knew this going in, was that these licenses are zone exclusive. So you have to select whether you want to hunt in zone A or zone B, but these general tags, of course, are zone specific. So there are hunters that have a history and tradition of hunting in what is now both zones. And it is unfortunate that that's, sort of the cost of this model. But again, ultimately, we heard those concerns in our public meetings, but they were ultimately still very supported to go in this direction.
Yeah. And then as we get into the firearms part of the seasons and stuff, there was a couple deals in the two zones. As far as party hunting, what was the effect on that?
Yeah. So party hunting in Zone B is going to be prohibited. Now, it has been for non-residents across the state officially for a season or two. But at those meetings, we heard time and time again, folks mention, could you look into ending party hunting? Because there was a lot of concern that that practice was leading to higher deer harvest in such a way that was not allowing for population recovery. That actually wasn't exactly on our radar when we started the process, but that's the whole beauty of public engagement, right? Is that we hear from folks who live there, who hunt there, and we can ultimately make better decisions accordingly. Again, when we rolled out this proposal in 2025 in those public meetings, we asked folks, do you believe party hunting should be allowed in Zone B? Overwhelmingly, we heard no. And I do want to be really clear here. We're not talking about deer drives or group hunting or the method itself. What party hunting means in terms of Iowa's regulations is shooting a deer for which you do not have a license for, but somebody in your party can tag.
You're using somebody else's tag.
Exactly,
Right.
tag sharing. So
Tag.
that's what we're eliminating in Zone B. And to be honest, I haven't heard a lot of people that are upset about that. I think people generally understand that. I mean, it's kind of intuitive, right? You should probably expect to shoot a deer that you have a license for.
Mm-hmm.
And again, we're not coming at deer drives. We're not coming at group hunting. We just want to make it such that if you shoot a deer, you need to have a tag for that yourself.
Absolutely. Yeah, Chase, how you doing, buddy? Jacob, good to see that you're making it through Ragbri. Okay, Kevin in New Jersey, good to see you there. Dale Griffin, how you doing, pal? Good to see you. Thank you, I appreciate that. Well, with all the rain, I was out putting cameras up a couple days ago, and man, it was nice to see all the ponds full to the brim. The river looked like it was really up and good. I'm hoping, knock on wood, that that we're not going to have as much EHD in the state. And I was talking with other biologists and stuff, and how are we looking at EHD? I mean, have we had enough outbreaks where we're getting that more cannot talk today, Chase? Herd immunity built up in the deer?
So we are starting to look at that question by looking at sampling deer for EHD antibodies to try to understand, are deer surviving this or are they for the most part dying? Now, I think it's safe to assume that a majority of deer in Iowa are still going to end up dying from EHD or blue tongue. But it's a really complicated question because there's a lot of different serotypes or strains, if you will,
Mm-hmm.
of both EHD and blue tongue. And they likely carry different mortality rates and they likely carry different levels of resistance based on past exposure. So it's a difficult question to answer. But what I can say is that what we've seen in the South, uh, Alabama, Mississippi, Georgia, Texas, is that after enough exposure, for instance, deer in Georgia, I believe they estimate that the mortality rate's only about 15%
Right.
currently
Yeah.
for hemorrhagic disease. So
Yeah.
now we're far from it, but every outbreak is putting us closer. So I think that that's the silver lining to all of it. We should be better off than we were 5 years ago. And 5 years from now, again, God forbid a big outbreak, but if we have one, we are still going to be closer to getting that herd resistance.
And they've been dealing with EHD for a lot longer than Iowa or the Midwest. I mean, that's why they're at that lower percentage.
Yes.
Right.
That's right. Yeah, they've been dealing with the outbreaks we're dealing with now back in the 70s and 80s.
Right.
So, hopefully the next generation of hunters, EHD is not going to be the same deal it is for us today.
Yeah, it would be nice to see that because I mean, I get so many questions about people with product. You know, there's some people are out there advertising, "Hey, stop EHD, put this out, do that," and it's like, I don't know how they can say that because that midge fly bites a deer, it has a blood meal, and then it goes bites another deer and has a blood meal. I mean, it's not going to stop it.
No, there's probably no way to really stop it on a landscape scale.
Yeah.
Now, it's great that people are looking into solutions, but I think sometimes the best solution, at least this is my philosophy on a lot of these diseases, is nature will find a way for things to work out.
Yeah. Now, I don't know what you feel about this, but I do feel if you have an area that you don't have a lot of water, putting in water stations, I do think that does help mitigate. And then especially if you make it where there's not mud around those containers, put
Yeah.
pea gravel and stuff. And if the midge flies have no way to get in there and nest, I think that does help mitigate some of that EHD exposure.
Yeah, well, theoretically it should, right?
Yeah.
And the fact that it's extra bad in drought years, a
Yeah.
big reason is because deer are congregated around the only existing water sources. So if there's EHD in that water source and those midges are spreading it, that means every deer in the neighborhood is going to be exposed.
Yeah.
But if you can keep deer dispersed during this time of year, I think that's a pretty good strategy.
Yeah, I think multiple stations. I think that's a good philosophy myself. But and I'm not partnered or I'm not sponsored by anybody that does that. I've just always that's why when I where I hunt, I was so glad to see multiple ponds and a river
Right.
because that
Yep.
does keeps them spread out.
That's right.
Yeah.
And moving water, cooler water, that's going to be best. Midges really like warm, nutrient rich, muddy, flat areas. And, there's a reason why Northeast Iowa has really never had hemorrhagic disease at scale.
Yeah, all
It's
the
because their
springs.
water is spring fed and
Yeah.
cold. And,
Yeah.
yep, exactly.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. Anything we got the big waterfowl convention in town. I know that's not your stick, but I know there's going to be a lot of people out there chasing talking ducks and geese and everything like that. I still think our deer classic is a crown jewel for Iowa every year. I look forward to
For
March
sure.
so far. It's just neat to see the success stories, hear the hunting camp stories, and I think we're very lucky to have a good Iowa deer classic.
I agree. I enjoy going to that as well. Sometimes I'm there in some different capacities than just the DNR, but we have such an incredible resource in Iowa with whitetail deer, and that expo really puts it on display.
Yeah. Anything else now? Is all this stuff that we talked about today, as far as the new regs and rules and tag requirements and what you can do, what you can, is that going to be on the app or is that going to be on? What's the best way? I always tell everybody, look
Yeah,
at the new. It's your responsibility as a hunter to know what the new rules and regs are when you go to an area. So,
absolutely.
so on the app, will all that information will it be there? Will those points be on there for hunters to make sure they know what's going on?
Oh, for sure. We've gone through great lengths to try to do our part to get the word out there. Our new regulations are actually posted on our website in at least one place. We're working on getting it cross posted. Probably in the next week or two, it's going to be everywhere. We're working on printing copies to get put in, stores and with our license vendors. So hopefully that'll help. We also have a deer hunting website where all these changes can be outlined. And for folks who are listening, chances are they take a great interest in deer management, deer hunting. We've got a lot of really cool resources on that website. Our statewide deer management plan gets into maybe why Iowa is the state that it is, why we do things the way we do, and even a deer program report to talk about the last deer season, where things went well, where they didn't. And anyway, I just want to always point people towards those resources because I think folks can learn a lot from them.
Absolutely. Well, we're going to have Chase on the Saturday show here coming up, so we'll be able to spend more time. If you do have questions, and I've been watching the messenger. I know a lot of folks are on Ragbri and some other stuff right now, but this we will have the show up on Facebook and on YouTube for you to go back and watch if you missed any of this. But if you have questions, email them to me. And when we have Chase on the Outdoor Call Radio show on Saturday coming up, I will make sure we get those for him. Chase, anything else you want to tell the folks before I let you go?
I don't think so. I mean, I always like to leave on some sort of note saying I can tell you firsthand, we really do love to hear from our hunters, even if they're not always calling because they're happy about something. We still encourage you to reach out and give us your feedback, because that just helps us do a better job in the long term. So anybody is more than welcome to reach out to me over the phone or email anytime. That number and email is pretty easy to find online there. So with that, I appreciate the opportunity to get to talk about these changes.
Oh, absolutely. We'll have, like I said, we got your book. I can't remember if it's this weekend or next weekend. I'll have to look. But
Yeah.
I know we got you coming up here soon, so we'll address that. And then thank you for doing a great job. One of the things when I first moved up here, I got to meet Willie Suki, and Willie and I became really good buddies, and I sure miss him. You all have done just an amazing job with the resource up here. So thank you for all the efforts, and I do know that it's much appreciated by the hunters out there.
It's our pleasure.
Yeah, all right. We'll talk to you soon. You be safe, and if you need anything, let me know, will you?
Thanks, Dan.
Thank you. There he goes, Jace Elliott, everybody. He is doing a great job. Always a good time to have those guys on and gals talking about all the stuff going on in the state of Iowa. Let me take a real quick break. I'll come back. I got some stuff to tell you about before we go, and we'll make sure that we get everything going. So don't go nowhere. I'll be right back.
Hey, America, when you barbecue, cookies is the one. Lots of flavor, lots of goodness, thick and rich, lots of fun. Hey, America, when you barbecue.
That was a good one interview.
Cookies, barbecue sauce for a treat. Cookies, barbecue sauce is the barbecue sauce America loves to eat.
Well, you finally got that deer tagged, and you're heading to home. Wouldn't it be nice to have a partner waiting for you to help you get that big buck out of the truck or side-by-side for skinning and processing without struggling? Well, Minerva Creek Game Hoisting Systems will be there to help you. Minerva Creek Game Hoisting Systems are made in the USA in Springfield, Missouri. These high-quality game hoisting systems are engineered to handle any type of big game, perfect for the hardcore hunter or outfitter. You work so hard to get that opportunity. You want to get every ounce of that quality protein to the deer processor or in the freezer for your family. Minerva Creek Game Hoisting Systems were engineered to help you do that. They carry several different models that will meet the needs for the single hunting family or outfitter's budget. So this season, don't worry about having help back at home or camp. Minerva Creek Game Hoisting Systems that will make every hunting camp easier. Go check them out at minervacreek.com or give them a call at 515-446-2383.
In these times when a lot of us are working from home, it's even more important to make sure your home is the right temperature and comfortable. Now is a great time to call the experts at Wyckoff Heating and Cooling at 287-6000 to schedule a check on your current heating and cooling systems. Is your house too dry and giving your family issues? A Honeywell dehumidifier system installed with your AC heating system can solve that issue right away. Wyckoff Heating and Cooling is a family-owned and operated business that has been serving Iowa residents and businesses for over 70 years. They offer 24-hour service and programs like the Peace of Mind Plan for less than $15 a month. So if you want more time on the water or in the woods this year, please call the folks at Wyckoff Heating and Cooling for any of your home or business heating and cooling needs. One call to Wyckoff Heating and Cooling will bring you peace of mind under your roof every day.
To the top with Gearhead Archery.
All right, welcome back to Buck Talk Radio on the Outdoor Call Radio Network. Hope everybody's having a good Wednesday all across the good old US of A. Doing really good with my mocks. Still got the Misfortune synthetic buck urine and the Mystic polyglandular dabs and limb liquor going from Jinx 'em Scents. And they've got stuff available at jinxandsense.com. But I've got deer in my scrapes every day. They're doing well. They're growing. So you've seen some pictures. I don't post a lot of my bucks because I don't want to give anybody intel what I got running around. So just like got a couple new shows coming on the network this week and next week. We're going to have Take Aim Adventures. That is going to start being on Fridays, I believe, and then the Healthy Herd, or Mondays. I think Mondays. And then we'll have the Healthy Herd with Jinx 'em Sense and I starting here in the next week or so. So 2 new shows for you to check out on the Outdoor Call Radio app. DNR still looking for people if you have wild turkey sightings in July and August, make sure you report them. They're looking for adult males, adult females, and poults. And that survey information is vital. So if you can help them out, please do so. And we'll go from there. All right, we got a deal going on with Racks and Tracks Taxidermy with our good friends Rupert's Roost in Peace and Rut in Peace grunt calls. If you order either this call or the plastic, the wood with the plastic from Racks and Tracks Taxidermy, I have the first 6 orders. I'm going to open it up, but doesn't that just sound really good? First 6 orders from Jeremy, just call him up in Knoxville, Iowa. The first 6 people are going to get a $100 gift card from Onyx. You'll get a free 1-year membership. How about that? Just for ordering a grunt call. You get a great grunt call that I never leave home without, my Roop grunt call, and you get a $100 gift card from Rupert's Roost and Peace Turkey Calls and Grunt Calls. So give Jeremy a call. He's at the fair. Just call and leave a message or send him a message, and he'll put you down first 6, and we'll go from there. If we get over that, I'll try to do something else for the other people. We got a shoulder mount contest starting September 15th from Jeremy and everybody at Racks and Tracks. We'll tell you when you can start submitting to win that free shoulder mount. That's a $750 award. We'll have Mike's Meats stopping in here pretty soon to give out some free deer processing as we get closer to the deal. I'm going to be at the Delta Waterfowl Convention this Saturday doing the show live 8 to 10 on KXNO. So if you're out at the Delta Waterfowl, come out. I'll have some giveaways for listening to the show. Just come by the table, and I'll have koozies, or I'll have a couple Onyx cards there too. And you know me, I'm always trying to take care of everybody. The Iowa Jeep Show is going to be September 11th through the 13th out in Garwin, Iowa. That is a great event. Go check out the Iowa Jeep Club or the Iowa Jeep Show on Facebook, and you'll get all the details, free parking, camping, and all that other fun stuff, and they'll keep you going. All right, that's going to wrap it up. We had a good show today. It was nice to get the new deer rules and regs, and I appreciate Jace coming on. Jace, Elliott. I get that messed up all the time. For coming on and talking about that. And again, we're going to have him in the next week or two on the Saturday show, and we'll go from there. All right, everybody, I'm going to turn it back to regular schedule programming. If you need anything, let me know. Otherwise, I'll talk to you on Saturday. Have a great weekend. And thanks for tuning in. I appreciate you. Grab a quiver.